is Sunday, July the 9th, 2017. Welcome to Wrestleview Live number 17. We are here to talk about the WWE Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view. Welcome to the show. Welcome on to the YouTubes. Sorry, I'm trying to get my shit in lock here. Never ceases to amaze me how things go with these live broadcasts, but we want to do it live because it's more exciting. I'm Adam Martin, editor-in-chief of Wrestleview.com. We are on the front page of Wrestleview.com. We're on YouTube. Look up Wrestleview or Wrestleview Radio on YouTube. Subscribe to us. We would appreciate that. And we are back once again. We were here last Sunday talking TNA, Impact Wrestling, Global Force Wrestling, whatever they want to call themselves these days. And now it is Great Balls of Fire time, the Raw brand's turn to try to entertain us, and I think they did a good job. And by the way, had a blast last Sunday with the Trey Dog. It was fun to mix it up a little bit, but we are back with the old crew, the old faithful crew. We got Doug Lackey back in the saddle. Douglas, first of all, how are you doing? And I'm sure you were happy you didn't have to talk about TNA last week.
I was about to say, are you glad you got that out of your system?
I did get it out of my system.
Okay, good. Did you learn anything?
I actually didn't hate the show.
Okay.
I did not hate the show. I thought I was going to, but I was surprised at how entertaining that company put forth. How entertained I was, rather. I can speak English.
I will be honest. The only thing that I really did check out from the show was the performance of one D'Angelo Williams.
He was awesome.
Yes.
He's super awesome.
Yes, he's very, very good.
I was there was, I guess, the reason I wanted to watch it was because I hadn't watched the TNA show. It's not TNA. I gotta stop calling it TNA.
No, call it TNA. It's what it is.
Well, it's not TNA anymore. It's actually Global Force Wrestling now. I hadn't watched anything. I mean, I would keep up with stuff on YouTube. I would keep up with you know, the usual company banter, but I was not actively. And granted, they weren't putting forth a lot of pay-per-view. They were just kind of becoming a production company. But I thought it was good. Obviously, we're not going to sit here and talk about that company for the next hour, but it was a nice change of pace, is what I'll say. And
okay.
And if you heard what Trey said, I told him basically what we were going to be doing tonight. He's like, "Well, I'm glad I don't have to cover that show." But I think if Trey had watched this show, he would take that back, because I was pleasantly surprised again tonight. This is the moment where wrestling surprises me sometimes, where you go and like, I was really looking forward to Samoa Joe, Brock Lesnar. I wanted to see what they were going to do. I know that the mystique of Brock Lesnar is gone for a lot of people, and I totally get that. I understand that, but I really wanted to see how they were going to execute this. And I happened to cover Raw this past Monday to step in for Mike, and I was really impressed with just the subtle things they were doing to build it up. But I wanted to see how that was going to play out. I wanted to see Braun Strowman again, because Braun's just awesome. And then there was little caveats throughout the rest of the card tonight. But obviously, I was looking forward to Brock and Joe the most. But this is, without question, a brand that a lot of people think they think it sucks. They think it stinks. It's a long 3 hours every Monday night. I am not watching that show live every Monday night unless I have to help out Mike. I know you have said on more than one occasion you do not watch that show live. It's just it's a show that's there on Mondays, and you either decide to sit there for the 3 hours and watch all of it, or you dive in. Like, for instance, tonight, Doug, you probably kind of knew what was happening on Raw, but even if you didn't, all these video packages caught you right up. So you weren't super out of the loop, but you could still stay within the loop and get the context of everything that was happening tonight. And I don't know if that's a bad way to watch it, but would you agree that that's an acceptable way to watch wrestling right now if you're not super pumped for it these days?
There are a lot of different ways that you can take in the product, whether it be live when it's on TV or recorded or DVR'd. You can view at your earliest convenience, or you can take a break of 2 weeks to maybe upwards to 5 months and just jump in. And I would think at any random time during a pay-per-view and get caught up. I mean, this is one of the big luxuries of the WWE network, is that, can you imagine if this were a regular pay-per-view and this were on regular pay-per-view standards? No WWE network, Great Balls of Fire on your local cable or satellite provider. Do you think every single match would have had a video package?
Probably.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Why not? Why? I don't understand why not.
I really don't think it would, because they would be concentrating more on other products that they would be trying to sell within their company and their brand. There would be more commercials for anything else that they were doing. Okay, there'd be commercials for NXT, for the 205, for SmackDown, more commercials than just the two for Battleground. There would be a lot more stuff that I think that they would do that they used to do way back when they would do interviews with the wrestlers and performers to try to get you engaged into why something is happening. There's only one backstage interview this entire show. Which, I think there would have been at least 2 or 3 if this were a regular cable or satellite pay-per-view. But it's great that they are doing these video packages for every single match. Now, whether that means that deliberately means that every match should be at least 10 minutes long, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, by God, the Miz Dean Ambrose is a clear-cut example of that.
Yeah.
But, okay. But I'm with you in that the biggest thing with this show, in my opinion, is just like what I alluded to right there. And it was the only time I really commented on the Facebook page with the group watching the show, was the Miz Dean Ambrose match was the first time that I actually looked at the clock to see how long the show had gone by.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a really good, engaging show when you're just watching it, and you're not really giving a damn how much time has gone by. You know, you're not sitting there, oh God, three matches have gone by. Oh, how much time? Oh my God, I've got 2 more hours. You shouldn't be feeling that way.
No.
You should be just watching the show and enjoying it. And through the start of the show, I was really, at first I was a little bit surprised how I still felt this way after the opening match of Wyatt and Rollins. Because honestly, Wyatt Rollins was very predictable. It was very mediocre. It was very predictable. Okay. But then as the show progressed, especially the half-hour, Iron Man tag team match, that kept me pretty engaged. Kept me pretty enthralled. But it seemed like there were a lot of highs and lows with the show for me. Was it bad? No, not necessarily. I will definitely watch the pay-per-view again for 2 matches at least, that being the ambulance match and Samoa Joe Brock Lesnar, where for me, my opinion, the ambulance match was the reason I wanted to see this show. By God, it's Braun Strowman. Come on. There's no reason not to watch it. He's the reason I'm watching wrestling right now.
Yeah.
But no, it was a fun show. It was a fun show. And again, it had its highs and lows, but still was a fine show. I am not going to give a push and say that I don't like or hate the show. No, it was a good show. I'll give it a thumbs up.
Ooh, so you're not, we do have the thumbs in the middle, but you're not committal to.
I never do thumbs in the middle. It's always going to be up or down.
Thumbs in the middle. Okay. I would give it a thumbs up. I was pleasant. I think the last 2 segments really notched that up a little bit because of how I'm kind of feeling the same way about Miz and Ambrose. And I posed that question on the at Wrestleview Twitter tonight of just like, can we just move on from these guys? Because there's just not feeling it anymore. I like that maybe they're kind of starting, to go to do something with Bo Dallas, who I have no idea what he's going for with his look. But doing something with Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel with the Miz Taraj, as they're calling it. But I don't know, like there's just a general malaise, kind of like the opposite of being and of course, like, the one like caveat is there's always people paying attention to the television ratings for Raw, and we get in these back and forths. And I found this like interesting article by the Wall Street Journal this week that said, I think it was like there was a 34% drop in people watching cable between the ages of like 2 and 34 or something like that. And then, whenever that comes out, then Dave Meltzer has to toss out that, there's actually more people with access to cable and satellite now than 10 years ago. But yeah, when you line up the demographics that matter, it doesn't really line up. So there's always that like weird online battle that people are having about cord cutting and who's watching and who's not watching. I know like Sean Waltman, I think it was today or yesterday, somebody did like a tweet And he was doing this on Saturday, basically saying that just because the industry may have passed you by doesn't mean the wrestling industry sucks necessarily today. And then someone sent a tweet to him. They said Raw ratings in 1999 were, you know, like 8 million, and now the ratings now are like 2.5 million. And then he tweeted back the revenue difference between 1999 and today, and it was dramatically higher now than it was back in 1999. But there's kind of this like weird, I don't know if it's like a narrative battle or if it's just like people wanting desperately to be part of one of the teams. Like they want to be part of the team that, yes, wrestling is still, you know, vibrant and still going strong today. And then there's the other team that really wants to, you know, and I don't know why Dave Meltzer would be so, you know, gung-ho about trying to set a weird narrative when that he's dependent on the WWE to be in business, you know, because it's the most like, I know you can write as entertaining as Kenny Omega is, like people are not ordering the Wrestling Observer newsletter just for Kenny Omega and the Bullet Club. Like there's a reason the WWE is the most popular brand on the planet today. So I don't understand why some of these wrestling media entities are so quick to like just want it to fail, or they're really down on it. But there's a battle right now. I'm noticing kind of within people. I don't know why that is the case necessarily.
Well, honestly, and it's kind of weird of me to take this kind of narrative or kind of, I want to say, a similarity or a description of, in my opinion, again, I've never read a Wrestling Observer newsletter. I know the name Dave Meltzer, but I've never read anything. I really don't pay attention to what he says, even though I always read apparently everyone's reactions to what he says and all that jazz. I take Meltzer and everyone who uses arguments to try to talk down the WWE, just like how cable news has become. Kind of like how MSNBC, man, do they talk a lot about Republicans, but don't talk a lot about the Democrats that they support. Man, do Fox News talk a lot bad about the Democrats when they hardly talk about the Republicans that they support. You know, that's kind of how I treat the newsletter. That's how I treat a lot of, dear God, I hate calling it wrestling media because it's not media. It really isn't to me at all. It's just talking down about things when, ironically, like you said, if it weren't for them, they would have no audience whatsoever. But the reason that they latch onto the ratings argument is not because they yearn for the days of when two things battling against each other and they had quantitative numerical data that could prove their points. That's the only thing they have to rely upon to prove any kind of argument or claim they want to make. This is the only quantifiable data they have, is to prove their points is outdated data and outdated industries. That's all they have. And people can go ahead and latch on to it and everything, and feel free to. But Sean Waltman's the best one to bring up the counter argument. Okay. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Okay. There is no, I mean, you can talk about how ratings are no longer really relevant. Honestly, they aren't at all. YouTube clicks are more relevant than Nielsen ratings data is. Okay. But there's one piece of data that will never lose value and never lose credibility, and that's the dollar sign.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's our people, like tonight, for instance, Dallas, the American Airlines Center, I think is what it's called. It was sold out. I mean, it was packed to the wrap. When I saw the camera shot of the opening match with Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt, and there was literally, like, a lot of times you'll see in WWE TV tapings, especially SmackDown, because SmackDown goes to smaller markets and much smaller territory areas. You'll see the very, very top part of the arena blacked out, and you'll realize, okay, they probably, didn't do too well with ticket sales, but they sold enough at the gate to justify running the show. But Dallas was packed to the ceiling tonight. Obviously, we joked about the name of the show going into it, but I was noticing this, like, there were people starting to kind of have fun with it at the same time. Like, yeah, it's a stupid name, but like they were also like, I saw people like tweeting the lyrics to the song all day today, and so people kind of warmed up to it. And that was my general point of bringing up all the ratings and that nonsense stuff. Is I feel like sometimes people forget that we are watching something that's supposed to be entertaining. Like, I know some people take wrestling very seriously and they get mad when things are done, But at the end of the day, though, you should be watching this to try to have fun and to smile. And I had that happen on more than one occasion tonight.
Oh yeah.
And I guess, you know, obviously there's the two we have to talk about the ambulance match and the main event first, because there's obviously other stuff that happened on the show that was good, but these two were just off the charts great.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's do a trade-off here. Let's start off with you and talk about Lesnar Joe.
Okay, because you know I want to talk about Lesnar Joe the most.
Yeah, you talk about Lesnar Joe, and then I'll talk about the bloodied monster.
The bloody the bronze zombie, which I can't wait to talk about.
Yeah, bronze zombie. Yeah,
the bronze zombie was wonderful tonight. So without question, I have to set the table here before I get started. Everybody knows that I've always been a big supporter and a big fan of Samoa Joe. Haven't been 100% thrilled with his run so far in this company, and that there was just something kind of missing, and that I'm used to, you know, like a certain presentation with Joe. Not that I felt that the WWE was booking him poorly. I just didn't feel this usual, like, wow, Joe's here and Joe's doing stuff. And even like the Seth Rollins stuff was weird, because like he beat up Seth Rollins, but then he wasn't part of WrestleMania. So he was just kind of like, he was just kind of there. Like they brought him in as like this really big deal on the Raw brand. And then he wasn't at and I'm not saying he should have had a match at WrestleMania, and how dare I'm not saying that. Yes,
but he should have won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal match.
And I saw people very upset that he wasn't on the card, but he was brought in, and he was just kind of there. And then for some reason, as soon as they decided to flirt with him and Brock, it took this awesome turn, and it started with the Paul Heyman attack, where he's quietly talking to him and saying, "I'm going to choke you now, Paul, and I want you to deliver this message to Brock Lesnar." And then just the stuff that they had been doing on television the last few weeks of Samoa Joe attacking Brock on the stage, and then the thing they did last Monday, where they were being interviewed in separate areas of the arena, and Joe just goes and finds them and does like, it's like, let's go champ, and then you know, Brock's just laughing and daring him to attack him, and there is just this new this is the Samoa Joe, the fired up Joe that I'm used to seeing from the Ring of Honor days, from the TNA days, and they just didn't really, I don't know if they just didn't feel the need to go there until they felt like they had to, which was obviously tonight. I loved him attacking Brock right away. If you didn't see it, do yourself a favor. It didn't last very long, so maybe 4 or 5 minutes, maybe 6 at the most.
Yeah,
He attacks Lesnar right away on the outside, throws him through an announce table, and at that point, it's just setting this like incredible pace, and Joe's beating the shit out of him, and then all of a sudden Lesnar starts pulling off the German suplexes, and then Joe starts to put Brock in danger again. I said this on the Facebook page, the Trey and Adam Show Facebook page, that Paul Heyman is incredibly underrated, I think, at ringside. When he's yelling Brock repeatedly, going, Brock, and he's just like, you know, it feels like Brock's in danger and he's about to lose the match, and he just adds this extra. I feel like I'm gonna sound like this like super biased asshole when I describe this, but I get genuinely nervous when I watch Brock wrestle or when he fights in mixed martial arts, because he's just so big and he's just so unpredictable, and like he's just like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, I just feel like something bad is going to happen, and it's hard to describe. And I know a lot of people that like hate Brock are just like rolling their eyes right now, like, oh my god, but there's just nobody on this planet in the professional wrestling industry, even in the mixed martial arts industry. Like he's a very unique individual. And then to have Samoa Joe there, who I also think has this incredible aura to him, just kind of go toe to toe with Brock tonight. And then, you know, threaten the fact that he almost was going to try to, choke him out with the rear naked choke. I'd refuse to call it what the coquina. I don't remember whether they call it. Stupid.
It's a sleeper hold.
It's a sleeper hold, basically.
It's a sleeper hold.
But I love that he almost had him, and then out of nowhere hits the F5 and wins. And I really wasn't expecting Samoa Joe to win tonight, and I liked that they, Brian Farmer in the chat is saying that he finds Brock dull. I can't even fathom watching Brock Lesnar and just thinking he's dull. Like there's just nothing dull about him. Just how fucking big he is, and just the presence he has, and I know I said this at the beginning. It's how many years now, Doug? We're going on 5-6 years now.
Yeah, we're looking at now 5 to upwards of 5 years.
5 years, and I get it. Like at some point, you can only take in that Brock's the most dangerous dude in the world narrative. I totally get that, but still, like the guy's still delivering, at least for me. In the ring, and and the fact that he's seldomly used, I think obviously helps. If he was on every pay-per-view, maybe I wouldn't feel the same. But I love the almost, Joe almost choking him out, and then boom, F5, we're out. And obviously, we're probably going to get Brock and Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, or maybe they throw a wrench at us and they do Brock and Braun Strowman. I don't know. Maybe they do Joe and Roman Reigns, or they mix it up, or they keep things going. I don't know. I mean, it's a little over a month out, but I liked what they did tonight. I thought it was great. I thought it was executed awesome. Thoughts, Douglas? I guess that's the only thing I can say at that point. I'm done rambling.
Okay, take a breath.
Take a breath. Exactly.
Take a breath. It's okay.
It's all right.
Let me see. When it comes to, like, you talk about your background, you've been watching Samoa Joe and everything for a long time. I sure haven't.
Over 10 years now. More than that.
Yeah, me, I've been watching him for probably ever since I started here with Wrestleview. Okay. And so I really only know and seen what he did in TNA, and I will forever call it TNA, and what he's doing here with this organization. I totally understand how you don't like how he's being presented in the WWE. And I'm not taking the argument, well, honey, it's a new TV show and he's a new character. He's not going to be the same. That's not the argument that I'm going to take. And it's not really an argument. I think they like that idea of him, being that big fighter. I'm here to bring the fight. That's what he did in these past 3 weeks on Raw. But the problem is that takes time to develop that kind of character and that kind of pathos for that character. It was easy for him to establish in TNA after squashing people for a year and a half. Okay? He doesn't have that kind of time to do that in this organization with what he's been given in the setting and in the environments that he's in. And I'm even talking NXT. Okay? He wasn't given enough time to even establish that in NXT. He's just given, my name is Samoa Joe, this is what I do. And, you get that kind of luxury when you set up a brand name for yourself, okay? But I really love what they've done on Raw, like you alluded to, for the past 3 or 4 weeks. They've developed this character, this one that I'm just going to bring the fight. I don't give a damn who you are, okay? And it's done brilliantly. That segment with him and Heyman in the ring, and him, like you said, just talking normally to Heyman, just going, I'm going to wrap my arm around your neck, and it's going to be really tight. I mean, that sent chills up my spine.
Yeah.
I was like, that was just brilliantly done. You've now established this guy, okay? He doesn't give a damn who you are. He's going to come after you in some way, shape, or form, but first get under your skin a little bit and then just come right at you, okay? When it comes to the Lesnar matches, okay, and when it comes to the unpredictability that you're talking about, I get the same kind of feeling whenever I watch a Lesnar match, period. But it's not because I'm afraid of something that Lesnar's going to do. I truly believe this guy has all control over what he's doing. I mean, we've seen him now for 5 years in the ring off and on, yes, but he has yet to screw up. I mean, how many times did, when the first match happened between him and Triple H, you know how much I was hoping for a train wreck to happen? I mean, I wanted an F-up. I wanted something bad to happen. I wanted someone to, take the reins of the match and the other one just not like it, and it just divulged into a brawl.
Yeah.
Okay? But we never got that. Okay? And then I hope for it again, and it doesn't happen. And I hope for it every single time that Lesnar's in the ring. It ain't happening. The cat knows what he's doing. Okay? But what I love about his matches is that they have always been pumping him up since he's been in this organization for the past 5 years, that he's come from UFC. That he's come from this place to where there is no slow pacing. there is no, tempo. There is no high and low of a match. There is no build up after someone's been beaten down. Okay. It just happens, and you don't know how long it's going to take. It may take 10. It may take a full 5 rounds. It could take 5 seconds. We don't know. That's what they've given to Brock Lesnar here. Okay. They have made this such an unpredictable match whenever he's in the ring. You really don't know what's going to happen. And the problem is with how the pacing begins, whether it be this match with Samoa Joe, where Joe blindsides him and puts him through a table, and then you see Lesnar just trying to catch his breath, and you're like, Lesnar, just be smart. Don't get in the ring. Take your breath and kind of be cocky about it. No, he gets back in there, and who the hell knows what's going to happen. You go from that kind of a match to the matches that he had with Triple H, where Triple H tried to make it a methodical, very predictable wrestling match. And it really wasn't that good. Or you could go to his Cena matches, which were phenomenal until the matches that Cena actually won, which were not saying predictable that Cena won, but it had the pacing of the ups and downs, highs and lows that any WWE match would have.
Sure.
Lesnar's matches are incredibly unpredictable. They're incredibly fun to watch. You don't know what's going to happen. And it's just so much of a combination of his selling, the person that's in there with him, the crowd on the edge of their seats not knowing what the hell's going to happen, and all 3 announcers, all of them going, we don't know what's happening here. Mm-hmm. Holy crap. It's Brock Lesnar. Okay.
Yeah.
How long can they keep this mystique going? It all depends on the gaps that they choose in between his appearances. Okay. Everyone can bitch and complain about him not appearing on Raw and not showing a title. Get over yourself. Okay. Everyone can bitch and complain about, well, it's been 3 months since he's been. For fuck's sake, it's a TV show. Shut up. Okay.
It's the belt marks.
Jack Tunney is no longer the president, and he's not vacating the title. Okay.
They always do the old Jack Tunney rose, like, well, he said, Doug, that you're supposed to defend your title every 30 days.
What the hell would they know? Most of the people making the argument weren't even born when Jack Tunney was president. Okay. Look, he will appear, and you can bitch about him being a part-timer and him having he's allowed to have some drugs in his body that other people aren't. Bitch about it all you want.
Mm-hmm.
He makes great matches and makes for great TV. Okay. How long will this go on? When will he lose the title? Who the hell knows? Right now, all that I can really bank on after seeing this match, it ain't over.
Yeah,
I see a Joe Lesnar rematch at SummerSlam. You can make it a no DQ if you want. That sounds fun to me. I would not make it a triple threat. I don't like the thought of Brock Lesnar in multi-person clusterfuck matches. That does not appeal to me because he's only been in one ever since he's come back to the organization. Okay. It doesn't work well with him. It's only one-on-one. So just keep it at that. Does Roman Reigns come into the mix? Yeah, sure. You could push that for next year. That's a surefire. You see that happening.
Mm-hmm.
I want Braun, of course.
Yeah.
But I can wait for that too. That's for way later down the line also. Right now, I think Joe Lesnar's got some legs behind it. I mean, this can go on for as long as they would like it to, just as long as they try to pace the appearances for Lesnar. And that's why I think SummerSlam is primed for a rematch, and who knows after that. But I'll tell you right now, if they're doing a rematch at SummerSlam, that's going to be the resolution of the program.
Oh,
they can't draw that out until No Mercy.
No.
They can't do that. Okay.
And Mason, the chat said that, Joe looks like he can hang with Brock in the ring. And absolutely. And I think that was one thing that stuck out to me the most was, and even though he's beyond that now, Joe was, an X Division TNA guy. And to see this X Division guy, beating the shit out of Brock in the corner and throwing headbutts, and he looks like he can handle his own. And I think that's you have to have, I know it's pro wrestling, it's goofy, but you have to have some kind of sense of slight, believability. If that's even a word. But you have to be able to see this and go, yeah, like, I could buy him throwing a headbutt at Lesnar and getting away with something. And even if, he doesn't fully defeat Brock Lesnar, the big Bork laser, it still was fun. And I thought they did really good tonight. So I was a big fan of the match.
And that was the purpose of the match, was to prop up Joe.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, that was the purpose of this match. It wasn't for Joe to become champion. It was at least to show Joe that he is a viable character on the Monday Night Raw program. Okay? Because let's go ahead and face it. Take Samoa Joe and take Brock Lesnar out of the mix. Who are the characters that they have right now? Right now, it is the Roman Strowman show.
Strowman show.
The Roman Strowman show. That's what it is. But it can't be that the entire time, because you have to have resolution to that program. And so, yeah, Brock is your cameo appearance, big deal character that comes in. You still need another one. Enter Samoa Joe. Don't make your arguments about Seth Rollins or Bray Wyatt or, for fuck's sake, shut up about Finn Balor. Okay. I think how we're now comparing him to the Fonz.
Well,
okay.
He is the Fonz, but I think he has some.
He is the Fonz.
He has some legs, though. I'm not ready to. I know a lot of people just destroy Finn on our Facebook group, but it's too early. I mean, to be
way too early.
To be shitting on a guy that we haven't seen. I mean, personally, I didn't watch a lot of his stuff in Japan. I wasn't blown away by his NXT stuff either, but I'd like to give. I see some potential there. So. But I don't think he's. I mean, granted, they pulled the trigger on him really, really fucking fast, and then we had the cool off period after he got injured. But I was not a fan of them pulling the trigger that quickly on him. I thought that was a mistake. And we've seen what happens to people. I mean, look at Bayley, was nowhere to be seen tonight, and they pulled the trigger on her really fast. And look what we're getting with her right now. So. There's a case to be made.
We need to understand that you should never trust a studio audience.
Yes.
Okay. Let's be honest. You should never trust the studio audience. You should trust a live audience that you're going to, for at least 2-3 month long span, and see what their reactions are. I mean, for God's sakes, we get some of our best matches and best characters from testing from live audiences. They are your best focus group. Never trust a group that gets into your show for free.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, never do that. Who do you think you are, TNA? Come on.
Well, I thought people pay for tickets at NXT?
Well, if they do, it's a very select few that can go to them.
Well, it's not the ticket price.
It's at the same location.
It's Full Sail University. I thought they paid for tickets, unless I'm off there. But
I mean, well, the thing is, if they do pay for tickets, they sure as hell aren't the same price that they'd have to pay if they were at an actual gated show.
Yeah, and it's not a huge audience, and it's a niche audience, and it's people that are actually. It's not an audience you want to.
It's people that'll show up on a daily basis.
But they also, at the same time though, Doug, they also will book. 15, 20,000 seat arenas the same weekend as, SummerSlam, and they'll sell the fucker out. So there's a hunger for it. I think it was even Hunter on the Facebook group who kind of said the biggest problem is that they've yet to figure out the transition from NXT to the main roster, because you've kind of almost in a bad way. There's a pro and a con to it. You've created a very popular brand within your umbrella, but there's an expectation then set with a talent on that brand, and then when you bring them to a show that gets way more television viewers with Raw and SmackDown, there's this expectation of, well, they did this in NXT, Doug, so therefore they should continue to do that on the main roster. And when that doesn't happen, then that means that talent has failed in the eyes of the fan that followed their career very closely in NXT, because we didn't get that for a long time. And you had to really search out Ohio Valley Wrestling footage or Florida Championship Wrestling footage, and you had to really be a huge fan and go out of your way. And now we're not. Now they're touring these guys. Like, they brought that crew to fucking Des Moines, Iowa. Like, it's weird. It's a new concept. It's a new transition, but they're setting themselves up though a lot of the times when they do that.
If you want a great, I think there's one performer on this roster that I think is the perfect example of how long it takes to kind of shed the NXT stink from your body. and actually build yourself up. And you and I saw him at WrestleMania. Cesaro. We saw him over at WrestleMania Access.
That's right.
Teaming up with Damian Sandow.
Yeah.
Going up against, well, who'd have thunk it, Bo Dallas and a very chippy and clean-shaven Bray Wyatt in a tag team match.
Husky Harris days, I think, yeah.
Yeah, it's scary to think about this. 5 years ago, this was a tag team match that we saw at at Access before WrestleMania, okay? And now look at where these four guys are now, okay? All in completely different spectrums of pro wrestling, okay? You got Sandow, who, for the love of, God bless him, okay? Had a great character in the WWE, but he just couldn't pan it out. Tried his damnedest, got out. Now he went to TNA, whatever the hell it is now. Oh, God.
Now he's gone.
Yeah, and now he's gone. He's somewhere. He's lost in the void.
Yeah.
Okay. Bo Dallas, holy heck. Went up to, dear God, we couldn't believe he still had a job.
Yeah.
And now look at him. He's on a pay-per-view again.
Yeah, dressed like something.
Dressed like something, from an HBO show called Entourage. But when's the last time you said that you saw Bo Dallas on a pay-per-view?
Not often.
I can't remember. Maybe Royal Rumble getting tossed over the top rope. Maybe. No, it was WrestleMania. It was the Battle Royal, and he got tossed over the top rope. Okay. Husky Harris, Bray Wyatt, look at where he is.
Yeah.
And you know how long it took him to develop a character in NXT to try to translate that onto the main roster? It took a long time. Okay, to develop that. If he did not develop that, he would have been gone a long time ago. And Cesaro, holy hell, he comes into the Fed. He comes up to the main roster. And, oh, my God, you thought he was going to get cut loose. Heyman propped him up. That didn't work. They put him, teamed him together with Tyson Kidd. That worked for a little bit. And then now look where he is. I think when it comes to NXT, it takes a long, long time to establish whatever the heck it is that you're supposed to be in the main roster. Okay, it can't be instantaneous. I gave 4 examples right there. Okay, it takes a lot of time. All right, they've made clear mistakes over who they've brought onto the NXT roster, but that should not deter our mode of thinking from thinking that they can't get back up. Because that has happened also. Okay, you can't just cast them aside, because if you do that, then who's going to take their place? Someone's got to take their place, and they're running out quickly. Okay, so let's all just kind of be wary about casting people aside and saying that they're failures. Let's just say that they're taking a break. Okay,
yeah, doesn't have
everyone
to be...
needs a break.
Doesn't have to click that. I mean, I think people just they want these talents that were so over in NXT to just instantly hit on the main roster, and it's unrealistic expectations. But it's wrestling fans, so they tend to have unrealistic expectations just about everything. Speaking of expectations, I don't know if you had any set for Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns tonight. I set the bar pretty high just because of how much I've been enjoying Braun. Just the sight of him opening an ambulance and raising his arms and screaming, just
the sight of him raising his arms and bellowing out.
It's so ridiculous.
Just makes me smile.
It's so ridiculous, and I just can't even. I just get so much happiness when this dude walks out. He's such a he's an old school heel presentation, and then you have old school monster is the best way to put it, and then you have the uniqueness of Roman Reigns, where before he even walks out, they're already booing, and then when the music hits, I'd smile now. Like when he gets up on the turnbuckle and he slowly raises the arms, and you just hear the boo boo, and then they just it's just and now he really plays into it. Like he knows the slower he raises the arms, the more the boos will just start to slowly build, and then it'll just be so loud, and they're aware of it. They're clearly aware of it. That night he walked out after WrestleMania. I fucking love that, of him just saying this is my yard now and dropping the mic. And they're just, of course that's the most hostile crowd of the year, but they're very smart with how they present Roman now. And I was very, very surprised at how they did that finish where he goes for the spear, Braun moves, and boom, that's it. Match is over. But the afterwards, which I know you're dying to talk about because, oh man, I loved every second of this. I loved the distraction they did by sending Heath Slater and Kurt Hawkins out there. You know, for those who didn't see, Roman after the match puts Braun inside the ambulance and then like basically reverses it into a semi truck, and then just all hell breaks loose. But I know you want to elaborate, Doug, so I'll let you elaborate since I did. Since I gushed over Brock Lesnar, Samoa Joe, you get to take this one.
I just love this match. It's not one of my. It's definitely not. It's one of my favorites for the year, but it's not the favorite for the year. It's definitely in my top 5 right now. Just because of this is a program that's been going on now for upwards of, what are we looking at? Maybe 3 months, maybe 3 to 4 months now.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, 3 to 4 months. And what I just love about this is it's just they built this up so well with just even the video package. If you have not been watching Raw since WrestleMania, if after WrestleMania you decided to just turn it off, not come back, and then, you know, a friend of yours has got the subscription and they're saying, dude, you have to see this match. The video package sets it up so well. These guys just hate each other. Mm-hmm. That's all. You don't need to know why. You don't need to know what was said. You don't need to know who prevented what from getting what fake belt. They just hate each other. And that's all they showed were pictures of them beating the holy hell out of each other. They show that Strowman got his elbow injured, and then he comes back bellowing out of an ambulance to beat the shit out of Roman. That's how this match started. That's why this match is happening. You know, first off, that's great how you started off. Anyone can latch onto this without it getting too, you know, precise or too complex. 2 guys hate each other. That's what wrestling's supposed to be. No honor shit. Okay? People hate each other. Okay? The match starts, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, I really don't want this to become like a garbage match. I don't want this to be, you know, setting up the table and grabbing the chair and, you know, just trashing each other with any inanimate object you can find. You know, I don't want violence for the sake of violence. Okay.
Sure. You don't want predictability.
Yeah. I was in my mind, I'm like, don't give me the predictable. Okay. Just give me simple. Just give me simple. You gave it to me in your video package about these 2 guys hate the fuck out of each other. So show me that they hate the fuck out of each other, but they aren't going to put too much thought into it. And that's what this is. 2 guys beating the hell out of each other. Okay. There are no suplexes. There are no holds. There are no rest spots. There are no complex table setups with, you know, 7 damn chairs set up like a house of cards and throwing people into them. Okay, Roman grabbed a chair and slugged it into Braun's arm, hurting his elbow. And, you know, Braun's wincing because that's his weak spot and everything. But then Roman decides to slug him with the chair on the opposite side of the body. Uh-oh. Braun ain't happy. So you do it again. No, that's the wrong side, you dumbass. Hit him on the other side. Nope. Hits him on the side that doesn't hurt. Braun mad. Goes after him. It's simple. It's flat out simple how that's done. Okay. The crashing through the screen. Sure, you can see that kind of happening, but it's during that spot where Braun is inside the wreckage, you know, and you can kind of faintly see him in the darkness. And there's Roman, and think he has him. And then you see Braun stirring, and he's crawling. Roman is in the spot that he is right now because of his emoting. Okay, even though he is the top guy, and even though everyone hates his guts, and even though Vince loves him, he's putting him in this, he does the best emoting right now that I can actually see on this roster. I mean, he has got a look on his face like, man, when he saw Braun crawling out of there, he's like, oh God, I got to take this exam again? I studied for this so long and I already got an A. I got to retake this exam. That's what he looked like. He looked like just an exasperated, frustrated student. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that's what's great about Roman. Okay. I mean, it's odd. I mean, he has some expressions that are almost, and we'll put it out there, that are Cena-like.
Oh, yeah.
These are John Cena-like emoting.
Yeah.
Okay. Cena was fabulous with this stuff. Okay. And then, and what I love too is you brought up how Roman tried to spear Braun into the ambulance, but, Braun sidesteps and Roman launches himself into the ambulance, doors shut, Braun wins, yay. But what's ironic is that that's how Braun always loses his matches. He throws himself into things. That's what this whole match was about, is the guys throwing each other into things, and Roman, pissed off that he made a mistake, and he knows that he should know better, takes it out on Roman, an ambulance, and a tractor and a trailer, crashes Roman into the trailer. And it's amazing that I was more intrigued by I never knew that's how Jaws of Life worked. I've never seen how they work. I've seen the contraption.
Yeah.
When that, but I've never seen it in action, And so I felt like, oh, wow, this is going to be educational also. Oh, I get to see how this works. Oh, you got to take a crowbar to that door to open it up. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, can't you guys just start the ambulance and drive it forward?
That's what everybody on Twitter was saying. Like, you could have just got inside the ambulance and drove. You could have, and then to have Jamie Noble just like, I'm trying, Kurt. By the way, Kurt Angle's reaction when he just walks up and he's like, what? Like he just kept. Kurt was phenomenal tonight. So that was
Kurt had that look. Wow. But what's even better is when Kurt comes out there with his broken neck, broken back posture.
Mm-hmm.
Because you would expect anyone else would have a way different kind of pose. Like,
oh yeah,
this shit just happened. No, no.
He's like, okay.
But what I love, I guess, as if Jamie Noble or the referees are there to really assist the firefighters and the medics with the Jaws of Life. What are they doing there? Get them out of here. Come on. Let the real actors do the acting.
Yeah.
Okay.
The EMTs and the firefighters. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. I was really praying for when they're trying to get the Jaws of Life. I was praying for the door to fly past the camera.
Just kick it right off.
Braun, kick it right off. And Braun just, blood dripping from it.
Which we kind of did get a little bit. I mean, there was a bunch of Walking Dead references in our Facebook group. There was, the Braun zombie, the walking Braun, and the way he just kind of shrugged him off and had the blood. But I also liked the distraction they did where they decided to send Heath Slater and Kurt Hawkins to the ring. And then they just kind of were showing the side profile, the 2-camera shot, but it was good.
Side by side. Oh, yeah. And also, give it to Slater and Hawkins going out there. They did a really good job going oh, God, I can't believe shit.
Taping up and, they were.
I guess we're going.
Guess we're doing this. But, yeah, that was, I was not expecting that. Because, when they said ambulance match, I'm like, oh, boy. I know we have to do something with these guys and we have to do some goofy stipulation, but I was not super pumped about the ambulance thing. And they really, really, really surprised me tonight. So I thought that was definitely that in the main event were the highlights tonight. By far.
I'm just so glad it wasn't a garbage match. I'm just so glad it wasn't a garbage match. It was just so simple. Simple. Keep it simple, stupid.
Very, very, very simple. Do we want to go through the rest of this wonderful card?
Let's talk about how you get hard watching Alexa Bliss walk down the ramp, but then you immediately go limp when you find out she's double jointed.
That bothers you?
Well, no, it didn't bother me, but it sure as hell killed whatever hard on I had.
Got you a little excited. You couldn't figure out if you liked it or not.
Oh yeah, man, I was all excited and everything. And suddenly, oh God, what's wrong with her shoulder?
She's done that before on SmackDown. I don't remember who it was against, but she did that in a match on SmackDown, and then it was where she pretends like she's got a dislocated arm, and then she pops it right back in place. And so and that was another match that surprised me tonight too, because I am very so-so on Sasha Banks. I don't know, man. There's just something about her.
You're a lot higher on her than I am, that's for sure.
I just obviously she's competent in the ring. I'm not criticizing that. It's the presentation of her character of I just don't get it anymore. Like, she's friendly with Bayley and then she's not friendly with Bayley, and obviously her promo delivery is still atrocious, but that aside, I've never really understood what they were trying. They had a very clear-cut message with her, and this goes back to our NXT discussion earlier tonight. There was a very clear-cut role for her in NXT, and she really blurred the lines on the main roster. And I think we were just getting sick to death of her and Charlotte at one point. We were just like, all right, it's how I felt about Dean Ambrose and The Miz right now. I'm just like, all right, I've had enough. Like, I've seen all I'm going to see from these guys. And I saw all I could see between Sasha and Charlotte. But they, Sasha and Alexa tonight had a very good match, very surprisingly good match tonight. And I like that Alexa, kind of like what the Usos did with the New Day, where they're just like, I'm done. I'm out of here. It's kind of what Alexa did tonight, where she almost, tapped out and then just said, I'm just going to sit out here, Doug. I'm going to take my belt and peace out. So that's still going to continue, I would assume, based on how they handled that tonight. But pretty surprising match between those two girls.
That was a fun one. It's just they really, I'm not convinced that, wow, Sasha is such a fighter, even though Nia Jax beat 4 girls and then had to go against her.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't buy that. I don't know exactly. Yeah, Sasha is not exactly a fighter. Okay, she's kind of, I don't know. She's just there,
just doing stuff. Yeah, but they're starting to maybe get around to trying to figure out what they want to do with her. So that's good. I'd like some direction with Sasha, because there's been no direction. It's been just her doing stuff. So not a big fan. Yeah. Let's go through the rest of there. I'll put on the fancy music we always do.
Oh, hot takes.
The hot takes. We had some hot takes on the Facebook group. I think one of the hot takes was from Ebony, who said that Bayley sucks. I disagree. I don't think Bayley sucks, but no,
Bayley doesn't suck.
I get maybe being a little underwhelmed by her just a little bit. Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins was also pretty surprising tonight. I thought they had a pretty good match, even though I really had no interest in what they were doing. I wasn't interested in the story. But
they had a good match, but I really didn't give a shit why they had the match.
I still don't really understand why they were fighting. Like, I know, like, they were doing promos on Raw where, like, Bray was calling himself a god, and Seth's like, no, you're not a god, so we should fight about it. Like, okay, I guess we're gonna fight about it then. So I still have no idea why they had a match tonight. So if someone wants to fill me in, that would be.
I am really good. I don't agree with you. Let's have a match.
Let's have a match. Let's figure it out. Big Cass beat the shit out of Enzo Amore.
That was a fun one.
One-sided, but I like angry Big Cass. Big meanie Big Cass is what they're trying to do with him, I think, tonight. So
Big Cass is very Kevin Nash-esque.
Very much so.
That's what I dig the most about him. He just has this. He has this away from the mic demeanor and voice. He's just like, really? Are we doing this? Come on. I kind of like that trollish obnoxiousness coming out of him. Keep that up.
Not bad. Yeah. Bronx in the chat says, does Kurt Angle suspend Roman Reigns after tonight, Douglas?
That would be fun.
Probably would be appropriate, right?
Yeah, that would be kind of appropriate. I would think the very first. What I love the most is like when that scene is happening and Kurt Angle, he's trying to get on the phone, telling people to call 911, and the firemen and medics get over there.
Yeah,
I would. I really wish he would say, would someone call the police? I want to press charges on Roman Reigns.
Which they probably should. I know everyone's like, is he going to be arrested for attempted murder, or are we just going to let this one?
Well, they're going to let it slide, and I'd hate to say, what I always love about the WWE also, and it'll probably happen on Raw tomorrow, is that the police have universal jurisdiction. I love how whatever the hell happened in Dallas right here, the police will be able to take care of whatever the hell city they're in next time.
That's the best part.
I love that.
That's the best
police
part
have
about
universal
wrestling.
jurisdiction. They are the Judge Judy of the WWE police. Okay.
Brian Farmer says Lex Luger for the Hall of Fame. I thought he was. No, never mind. I thought he was in the Hall of Fame already. That's how bad. I think at some point, yeah, eventually.
Maybe.
Maybe. What else did I want to talk? Oh, the Hardys went 30 minutes at their age. Let's look this up. Matt Hardy.
Yeah.
Matt Hardy is 42.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff Hardy is 39.
39.
And they went 30 minutes tonight. Good match too. I was actually. I mean, I know. Okay, so there was a chat in the Facebook group about how they were going to do the predictable Sheamus and Cesaro go up 3-1, and then the Hardys come back and tie it up. But I liked the Jeff almost getting the pinfall and the time expiring, and then it was like, yeah, they lost, but they were close. I like the match, but I know people feel like these 2 out of 3 falls matches, okay, so I watched a 2 out of 3 falls match last week at the TNA pay-per-view, and you knew that, okay, they're just going to tie it up, and then the third fall is the decided fall. It was kind of what they did tonight, where they had Sheamus and Cesaro dominated, but it was good.
But you didn't expect the beginning.
I did not expect the beginning. The bro kick beginning, like the one we saw.
You didn't expect Cesaro to just run past Matt Hardy, and Matt go like, what the hell is he doing?
I missed that, yeah. The WrestleMania one we saw in person, we were like, pfft.
Yeah.
It was lovely. It was lovely. Good stuff.
Magnificent.
We already talked about Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks. If I'd never have to watch The Miz and Dean Ambrose wrestle again, I will be a very happy boy.
Well, here's the bigger question. What are we going to do with Dean Ambrose?
I don't know, dude. I'm honestly at the point where he could be released tomorrow, and I would be like, okay. And that's not good.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's a terrible way to describe someone who, quite frankly, so this time last year didn't he become WWE champion this time last year?
Yeah, it was this time he was. Yeah,
that's alarming to have that feeling. And there's sometimes where like I'm looking at a talent, I'm like, maybe people don't feel this way. Granted, Twitter's not the best barometer, but like everybody that was tweeting at me tonight was like, yep, he's boring, I don't like it, yep, done, out of here. Like, it's pretty unanimous.
Yeah.
I mean, but a lot of people are just not feeling Dean Ambrose right now. And I don't know if it's his fault, if it's creative's fault, but there's just nothing interesting about this dude. Nothing.
It's everyone's fault. It is really everyone's fault. Okay. I mean, we can go ahead and say it all started with him going to SmackDown and having his first program to legitimize him as a main character against Dolph Ziggler, and where the program was based off of, I think I'm better than you. No, I think I'm better than you. And now we're going to prove it. Okay. I think that's what set the bar so low for him. And he still couldn't clear it. Okay. It took so much as for him to, they had a program with him and AJ Styles, but then they had to bring Ellsworth into it. And then after that, they put him in The Miz, because there's no better way to build yourself up from your character than going against the staple heel like The Miz, and still couldn't do it.
And Torqueman in the chat said turn him heel, and I don't even think turning him heel would make him interesting. It's just
turn him heel on who?
Exactly. Like who? How does that work?
That's the thing. I really want to. This I really hate. Okay.
This turn him heel stuff.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Or even turn him face. Okay. Yeah, that sounds really simple. Okay. Who is the baby face that he is going to turn on? You don't just make him a bad guy to make him a bad guy right off the whim. It's going to suck. 3 weeks later, he's going to be canned. 3 weeks later, you're going to see him. You're not going to see him on Superstars. Who knows where you're going to see him?
I have no idea.
The only thing that I can think of that I would do is take him off TV.
Oh, yes.
First off, take him off TV. Okay. Give him a break.
Yeah, he needs a massive break.
A break. Okay. Then have him come back. And I know this is going to sound really weird, and it's almost going to seem like a contradiction to what I just said. Have him come back on TV, have a kendo stick, and just beat the shit out of anything that moves. Okay, seriously. Okay. There's a match coming on, and he just beats the crap out of everybody and beats the ref up. Okay. Then the next time Kurt Angle, he goes like, I tried getting a hold of Dean Ambrose. He won't pick up his phone. I gave him my cell phone number. Pull that stuff off. Okay. There's got to be a way to make over this character, but try to make it so that he's still the frantic Looney Tunes guy that he is.
I don't know, man.
Okay. You got to try to jumpstart and reboot this character.
And it's weird. Like, I didn't feel this way about him in the Shield days. But
everyone was high on him.
I was too, man. I was thinking, I was like, man, this guy
sounds like Heath Ledger.
He had he had that kind of zany, weird promo style, but I was like, okay, I can get into it. And then like, for some reason, like wacky Dean Ambrose, trying to be funny and eating popcorn and trying to crack jokes on the mic. And I'm just
he's got a hot dog cart.
Yeah. He's got a hot dog cart. I don't know. I'm just, and Brian Farmer said what you're describing is Brian Pillman, but he's not even as good as Brian Pillman. Like, at least Pillman had kind of an edge to his presentation, and
at least Brian Pillman didn't seem cocky about it.
Yeah, like you just kind of like you were like, okay, Pillman's crazy, and he's, but like with Ambrose, it just seems like a dude pretending to be crazy, and it's not it's not convincing. It's like Pillman's convincing. It just, I don't know, man. And I hate getting into the comparison shit, because then you're setting them up for failure when you're comparing them to, Roddy Piper and Brian Pillman. But it's like, that's kind of what he was going for, and it was just swing and a miss. So I would hope maybe something.
He now became a parody of what he was trying to build at NXT.
Yes, I just hope somewhere between now and the future he figures something out, because right now it's just not. It's not interesting. I'm not feeling it.
And on top of that, who does The Miz go against? Take your pick.
I don't know, but hopefully not Dean Ambrose, because I've seen enough of that shit.
Yeah.
The poll question, of course, on Wrestleview as usual is, what did you think of the show tonight? And 66% thumbs up. So good feedback. 21% thumbs in the middle, and 13% thumbs down. So pretty overwhelmingly positive feedback for the show tonight. So we're on par with the internets there, Douglas. Usually they tend to share different thoughts and opinions, but
I'm scared.
You're scared that we're starting to align with them now?
Yeah, I'm kind of scared.
Get a little nervous there.
I actually have a random hot take.
Okay, what's your hot take?
Titus O'Neil is growing on me.
He is for me too. As kind of he's kind of like the Lonzo or LeVar Ball kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of. It's been a long time since we've had a good God, and I'm not throwing Paul Heyman into this, okay? But it's good that we have another male manager.
Yes.
It's really good, and especially someone who can hop into the ring and maybe do something, but it's not going to really be that good. I'm glad they found this role for him. I mean, what he's doing right now with the Japanese guy from 205, the Tozawa. What is it? I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that kind of stuff. And now he's kind of growing on me a little bit. I'm not buying stock into the whole, Titus brand type stuff and everything. But, no, but it's fun. It's really good to see that character kind of grow a little bit.
It's definitely something different from him, so that's good.
Yeah,
it's a step in the right direction. Before we get out of here, a couple things really quick. I'm gonna skim through some of this stuff. We have some news. So the first news, I'm sure you saw the clip tonight. Dixie Carter is going to be on the WWE 24 special about Kurt Angle, which is weird. So she's not. So to set the table for people that aren't really, and I don't blame them for not following the situation with TNA, but earlier this year, Anthem Sports and Entertainment, which is the company that owns the Fight Network in Canada, stepped in, purchased Impact Wrestling, TNA, whatever you want to call it. And so Dixie Carter is no longer the president of TNA. The president role is now going to an individual named Ed Nordholm. So she's got like an equity stake. She's a stakeholder, I guess, in the current regime, but she's no longer day-to-day operations involved with anything. So she's kind of free and clear to do what she wants, essentially. I guess this allowed her to do this. So she was interviewed talking about working with Kurt Angle from 2006 to roughly 2015, 2016, I believe. So this was his run with TNA. So she's going to be on that special, which airs on Raw, after Raw. After Raw on the network. It's the special that's covering the return of Kurt Angle to the company when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame and met with Vince. But that's just weird to see her on. I mean, they broke this on Friday, which generally, if you put something out on a Friday, you don't want a lot of people knowing about it. That's usually the rule, is like, if you want something kind of under the covers, you put it out on Friday at 5, and they did that. And the other thing they put out on Friday at 5, Douglas, was the sudden release of Austin Aries. Apparently he asked for this, so it wasn't a weird, it kind of came out of nowhere. And I again, this is where we get into the speculation world. So I don't want to sit here and tell you exactly why he's gone from the company, but
I know why.
But I think you can. I got the newsletter subscription, so I know. But I think you can connect the dots. Like, it's pretty obvious they brought him in to be part of the cruiserweight division, and maybe he didn't want to be part of that anymore, and they didn't see that, they didn't agree, and that's why he's done. He got his WrestleMania moment. He got some exposure on a much bigger platform than he's ever had in his wrestling career. He has
probably got the biggest paycheck he's ever gotten. In
absolutely.
A very long time.
He has a book out now. So, like New Japan and Ring of Honor, and even, GFW is going to be calling. So, that's not it's not a big shock or a surprise or anything. So, it was just kind of weird because I liked him on commentary. I thought he had a future there if the in-ring thing didn't work out. But I don't know. Any thoughts on Austin Aries, sir?
Not really. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't really think I'll notice that he's gone.
Yeah, probably not. But
I'm sorry.
It was random,
and it's not because I don't want to say that he was brought in because of the 205 or anything like that. He was brought in and debuted on NXT at the same time when so many other people debuted.
Yeah, he's in the shuffle.
Yeah. If he was a smart guy, I would think you would want to hold off on even coming to the WWE for like 2 years. Okay. After you're done with TNA, GFW, TGIF, whatever the hell it is.
TGIF.
Whatever the hell. I mean, seriously, after you've seen, you've got Kevin Steen, Kevin Owens, you've got Kenta, you've got the Prince Finn Balor or whatever.
Yeah.
He debuts. And then, so many others. Like, God, before that, you had James Storm was on there.
Yeah, then he went back to
They
TNA.
made a big deal about that. And then 4 weeks later, he's like, nah, I don't think so.
I'm good.
That's okay. That's okay. There have been way too many debuts. And again, NXT was starting to feel like, to me, like how TNA is.
Yeah.
We've got someone who is going to revolutionize professional wrestling. And then 2 weeks later, we're going to do it again.
Yeah. That was the biggest problem with them.
That was the problem with Aries. Okay. If you're done, but then you see this stuff happening in the place that you would like to be, that's where you kind of go, you know what? Maybe I'll sign up with them. Let me do some stuff behind the scenes. But I'll hold off I'll pick my spot.
Yeah. And maybe he didn't like it. So maybe he just didn't vibe, and there you go. That's all it was. It was a little surprising.
Maybe he did just want the one paycheck, and there you go.
Yeah, he got the WrestleMania moment, and not many people get that WrestleMania moment. So there you go. And then the other thing I want to close with, and I get nervous about this all the time because I know wrestlers do this, and this wrestler was 100% proof of it. So, and I'll change screens so there's some context here. So last week, story comes out. I'm sure you briefly remember Velvet Sky from TNA.
Sure.
Part of the Beautiful People.
Yeah.
She's been pretty much in and out of that company for many years now. She did an interview where she said, I'm retiring and I'm going back to college. She's actually going back to college where Tom Van Stone used to work at, Post University in Connecticut.
Oh, that lucky guy.
Yeah, and she's from there. I think she probably knows Tom because Tom's the mayor of Waterbury. But so she's going back to college, and she says in the quote that, wrestling has a shelf life and college doesn't. So I'm satisfied with my 15-year career. The headline of the story, and I'll open up the story, it says, "Retired pro wrestler Velvet Sky comes home to Connecticut to go back to school." So apparently she took exception to the word retired being used because everybody, including me on Wrestleview, said she's retiring. She issues a statement the next day that says, "Just wanted to reiterate, I'm not retiring. It's just from in-ring action. So I'm still going to be involved with wrestling. I'll go to conventions and appearances and stuff, but I'm just retired from in-ring action." And then so we run this quasi correction. I don't know if it's much of a correction. The source of the story was that news outlet that interviewed with her.
So you do like a little retraction.
So I say, okay, here's her statement. She says she's not actually retired, but that's what the story said. So I was just going off the story.
Mm-hmm.
She proceeds to, and I'll get the next screen up here. She proceeds to basically search her name. She goes on Twitter and types in Velvet Sky because I don't believe in really tagging wrestlers on tweets. We're just putting the news out there and you're going to read it. So she proceeds to type her name in on Twitter and search her name and tweets at us and says, "I never used the word retired. The headline of the interview I recently did was very misleading in saying I was retired from the industry." But the key point here is when she does this, she doesn't reply to us. She quote tweets us so that everybody that follows her can then see, oh, Wrestleview reported this wrong. And so I immediately, when this happens, I write back to her, and you can see my response was, I went back, I reviewed the interview. I understand it's misleading. Did we need to fix something in our clarification? Because by that point, we had already run the correction that she wrote. We said, well, actually, this is the case, and this is what she said. I've noticed, though, and here's where it gets interesting. Wrestling fans are fucking retards because they will not do any research. They will see what a wrestler tweets and say, oh, that's the gospel. It reminded me exactly of the CM Punk situation many years ago, where whatever that fucker said, it was the gospel, and there was no research done. There was no effort to look anything up that he said or any retractions that he made or any contradictions. Just whatever this guy says is the gospel, and I'm going with it. And as soon as she quote tweeted that, I went, oh no, here we go. And I was getting angry tweets my way. How fucking dare you misquote her? And if I was her, I would never interview with you guys again. They had no idea that she had done this interview with this like legitimate news outlet. And I understand what she was doing. She was trying to correct the narrative, which a lot of wrestlers do. It's the my Twitter got hacked story, you know, where they screw up and they say, oh, that wasn't me, my Twitter got hacked. I understand what she was doing. She was trying to go out there and she was trying to correct the story, and we ran the correction. But what I hate what wrestlers do is they know what they're doing when they quote tweet somebody or they retweet something. They know what they're doing is they're sicking all their followers on someone. And I saw that and I knew what was going to happen, and it just opened the floodgates. And I started replying to a couple people, and everyone that I had a logical reply to blocked me. And I went, you know what? This is a waste of my time. And I realized at that moment, I went, this is the one aspect of professional wrestling and covering professional wrestling that I really don't like, because there's, and this could be the case really with wrestling, with, you know, music, with movies, whatever. But it's a strange way where someone that's a celebrity is being followed, and people will just like, it's just gospel to them, whatever that person says. And she apologized later in one of the tweets. She's like, I'm sorry if my fans were, you know, out of line. And I accepted that apology and stuff. And really she didn't have to apologize, because she, you know, it wasn't her doing, but I mean, kind of, sort of it was, but it's a weird, it was fascinating to me, Doug, to watch how human beings with Twitter, it's like who are these people? Like, they're just angry tweeting like, oh, how fucking dare you. I'm like, you didn't even like look, like there was just no effort done to see what we did. Like it was just the strangest Friday evening to observe this and watch everything come in. And it's just, and I could see where like the connection could be made without getting political, how the climate we're in now, where someone will use the term fake news. And I can see why that exists and how that started and what that created, because it really did create the, oh, well, they're fake news, you know, because even though we didn't really report anything inaccurate, we ran a story where they were quoting her, where the headline said she was retired. She still is retired, Doug. She's just saying, I'm retired from in-ring action, not from wrestling. So she's continuing to use the word retired. It's just really fucking silly. And I'm laughing because it is. It's weird. It's so strange. And I see what happens now to someone. Like, I can't imagine someone covering like politics and someone shouts the fake news thing at them, and they're really genuinely trying to do the right thing and like maybe issue like a retraction or cover it properly, or like, this is what you said though, and you can't like change your mind. Just because you change your mind doesn't mean the story is wrong. Like, it's weird. Like it was an interesting experience. And Grant, I didn't tag her on anything. This was a lot of her doing too, of just going. This is what wrestlers do though. Like, they'll go on Twitter and they'll just type in their name. Like, I wonder if anybody's talking about me right now. And they'll obviously see it in their mentions if someone tags them. But you know, it's like they're looking for, you know, obviously it's an attention thing, but it's really weird. I had to share that with you because I thought you would find that humorous, of just like, just this. It was just a strange thing. It was really, really, really strange.
It's really a grand, God, I want to say that, God, man, there are so many like observational case studies you can make with what you went through when it comes to sociology and psychology and communication theory. And here I am, you know, yeah, I'm using those kind of words, people, because this is the kind of stuff I studied in college. Okay, this is what I majored in, was communication theory and a lot of mass communication and organizational communications. What Velvet Sky is doing is incredibly smart, very underhanded, and extremely entertaining.
Yeah.
To me. Okay. I mean, for one, God, Adam, I wish that I could have the kind of entertaining Friday evening that you had. Okay. Because seriously, yeah, it would not work me up at all. Just seeing all the tweets that I would get, I wouldn't even reply. I would just be laughing at all of it.
Well, I made that mistake. At first I was like, I took it and I was like, oh no, I need to just stop. Like,
yeah,
you can't win. You can't win.
Because you got to sit there and go like, I know what the hell she's doing.
Yeah, I knew what
she's not
doing.
Under contract anymore. She's looking for work. And how do you do that?
Yeah.
Okay. She's just getting her name back out there is what she was doing. And of course, out come, everyone who doesn't have any friends, who isn't doing anything on a Friday night. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah. And and I'm looking at the chat and I know, and I see what Bronx and Goosey are doing. Yes, there was a lot of wrestling sites and they still exist today. And I was in that climate of people that would run wrestling websites that would put the fake links out there. And they would, I totally agree with that. What I'm trying to illustrate here is accurate reporting that is then being misconstrued as fake news or being incorrect, which is very irresponsible. And now I know kind of how some of these guys feel like that are covering the current political climate. Because all you got to do is shout. It's essentially kind of what the left does. When someone on the left will scream, you're a racist, you're a bigot, Doug. And that's kind of their narrative. The other side, the right now, will use, fake news. And then like you sit there and you're like, well, do I reply to the, and at that point I was like, I know I did nothing wrong, so I can't get too upset about it. But then when you see the lack of just like, wow, these people are it's just going over their head. And a lot of it is her kind of riling up the base, which I get. I mean, it's smart to do, but she kind of fucked up though. Like you can't say you can't say, well, Doug, I'm retired, but I'm not really retired, but I am retired. Like you can't, like you're playing the fence there a little bit too much. You're being a little irresponsible, but it was very, very interesting to observe the feedback to that. And just like total irresponsibility on the part of people that follow her. Like just, had they taken a couple seconds and realized what we did, they probably would have cared that much. But when she's retweeting it.
Well, my thing is I would have taken like a different, completely kind of questioning when it came to Velvet Sky. Just, well, I'm not really retired. I'm just retired from in-ring. That's when you kind of go, okay, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Why don't we just cut to the chase? Yeah. Okay. How about we just don't give a shit what you're not doing? Mm-hmm. What are you doing? Okay. Well, more importantly, what would you like to do? Okay. Are you going to college? Okay. That's what we'll report. You're going to college. Done. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't matter what the fuck you're doing in wrestling.
Yeah.
You're going to college. Good for you. Who cares?
Mm-hmm. And we all know
story.
We know how retirements are in wrestling. Bronx just joked about that in the chat about, we get it. Like that probably doesn't last too long, but
no,
I don't know. I just thought that was weird. Yes, obviously,
but it was a perfect case study of being at a Trump rally and you're the one over there at the media tent.
Yeah, I watched them do that.
And someone screams Fox News and everyone turns at you and starts throwing their empty Coke cans.
Yeah, and I watched a group of Democrats do that at a group of Fox News people at a caucus one time. They said, "Oh, well, Fox News over there," and then all these Democrats were booing the Fox News tent. So every base riles up everybody. It was weird to experience it, and because I had the fake news thing tweeted at me, and I went, "Oh boy, that is a new thing now. Like that's the new world."
I miss when we were called Nazis.
Well, yeah, we used to be called Nazis back in the day, but not anymore. But now it's fake news, so
I'd rather be a Nazi.
We have to put up with the fake news shit now, so that's fun. But anyway, I had to share that with you because I know you like journalism stuff, and even though you don't consider this really journalism, but it was
no, not at all.
It was just an interesting media observation. I thought I would share with you. So
yeah, but it is really fascinating just to see how people just go quickly react.
Oh yeah, and Twitter's great for that too. I mean, it's just
without even putting any cognitive thought into anything.
Yeah, that's the perfect medium for it. So
Yeah.
there you go. Douglas, I'm looking at the calendar. 2 weeks from tonight is Battleground. That's the SmackDown pay-per-view.
Can't wait.
John Cena and Rusev in a flag match, and then we get the Punjabi prison match with Jinder Mahal.
Oh, we got the wall climbing contest between Randy and Ginger.
That's right. That's right. I don't know if I'm missing anything else. I'm checking the card, but I know there's been a couple. Well, there was a U.S. Championship match that was signed, but AJ won the belt over the weekend at Madison Square Garden, so that got kind of thrown for a loop a little bit there.
Tag title rematch?
Yes, there is. I believe so. Yes, you're correct. New Day and Usos, so that's been signed. So those are the only matches because they pulled the AJ Styles Kevin Owens match from the card. So right now it's just those three. So
let me see, maybe Sami Zayn, Baron Corbin. No, Baron Corbin, Shinsuke.
That could be good. Yeah, they could do something
Baron
like
Corbin,
that.
Shinsuke will happen.
I heard racism comments on the Wrestleview comments of the Punjabi prison match. It's racist, Doug. How dare they bring this? I don't know, because I mean, fucking Jinder Mahal's walking out with a turban covering his face. It's like what do you think this is? Like, I don't know.
What do you want?
I don't know. I give up sometimes with wrestling fans.
Would you want him? What do you want him coming out dressed as Shiva?
No,
what do you want?
I really don't know.
Do we need to? What else could they do to make them pitch the? What do they need to do to make you realize that he's Indian?
It's the new
other
buzzword.
Than his skin color, his name, and that he speaks Hindi.
It's the new
What
buzzword.
else do they need to do?
Everybody's racist, and I'm offended by that offense you just offended me with.
Just put a red dot on his forehead that's the size of Jupiter.
Just go for it. Just fucking go for it.
Just go all out. Let's just go Lord Tensai on this.
I love that the Punjabi.
How can we make him Japanese? We put writing on his face. We make him come out with a headdress. We have him have a Japanese servant. What else can we do to make you know that this guy's Japanese? What do they need to do?
I can't wait till I see this match. I love the Punjabi prison match, so I can't wait for this one. It's going to be fun.
Contest. I love it.
It's going to be great. So 2 weeks from tonight, sir. By the way, Tom Van Stone sent me a text. He goes, as soon as I turned on the stream, you were talking about me. That's fucking creepy. So he must have just flipped it on when I called on the mayor of Waterbury. So that's wonderful timing. Yeah. So 2 weeks from tonight is the SmackDown Battleground show. And then we have a pretty long, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4 week break until SummerSlam.
Vacation
So
time.
we'll have a little vacation soon because we've been doing a lot of these. Not that I hate doing these. I like these quick reaction podcasts, but we've been doing a lot more than we had planned but that's also the pay-per-view schedule. We were trying to be the Brock Lesnar of the podcast world, but it just didn't work out that way with all the pay-per-views. So
suddenly we've become Dean Ambrose.
We've become where you want us to go away. So it'll be a nice little break. So we have a week off, and then we'll come back and do Battleground, and then we'll kick a couple weeks off and talk SummerSlam, which I would assume will be another 4-hour tour, most likely, that they've been doing the last couple of years.
In the Brooklyn, to hear a lot of Jay-Z music.
Yes, a lot of Brooklyns. Yeah, there's a lot of pay-per-views this year. They went from 12 back up to like 17. Was it 16, 17? Maybe more than that.
Like anywhere between 16 and 18.
Torqueman said 19. We could check. I could count if you want me to, but
yeah, if he's counting the Bork Laser specific ones, yeah.
Let's look. Pay-per-view schedule 2017. Let's count. It's going to be...
Well, there is one that's to be announced.
There is one that's to be announced. I use this CBS Sports one. So starting with TakeOver in San Antonio, I'm including NXT shows. Should I not count NXT shows?
I wouldn't.
Okay, so let me talk amongst yourselves. You talk about the schedule as I count because I don't want to count out loud like a dummy. So here we go.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay. Hey kids.
I love the whole.
You want to see what No. Here you go. You know what I'm going to do on my free time? Because I purchased this really cool thing over at Target. It was $20. And there's rumors that there's going to be a movie coming out because, we reboot shit like Ghostbusters and all kinds of stuff. Look, Rocco's Modern Life. Entire series. $20.
I like that show. That's a good show.
Oh, but Doug, it's on Netflix. You can pay $10 a month. Shut the hell up. $20. Done.
You could. So it's 17. It was 17 shows, by the way, Doug. That's not counting NXT. So they bumped it up. So yeah, get Netflix, by the way. There's There's a show on there called Glow that everyone loves that I was not thrilled with, but everyone else in the wrestling media loved it.
My sister couldn't stop talking about that.
I just didn't. I mean, okay, so
I haven't watched it.
How about do me? Well, I don't want it to be homework, but
what do you want me to do?
if you have an opportunity, watch a couple episodes and let me know what you think, because I wasn't blown away by it. It was okay.
Okay,
wasn't terrible. The last episode was very good, but some wrestling fans get a little too excited about some stuff like that.
My sister is in no way a wrestling fan.
Which maybe it was the creators of the Orange is the New Black, which I haven't watched a second of. I know it's popular. I know a lot of people like it, but it was in that vein. So maybe if I'd watched that show, maybe I'd like this one. But I just didn't put it in the same category as like House of Cards, which I love. Just House of Cards is just way, way, way better. Different level, but okay.
I really trust my sister's review of this show just because, like, number one, she remembers wrestling in the 80s.
Sure.
And so, like, she completely grasped what the crux of the show was and everything. But also at the same time, she knows that the both of us, when it comes to our sense of humor, we love racist humor.
Which is what that show has some great, like,
it's chock full of it.
We
love stuff that is unabashedly, stereotypically bigoted.
I don't want to ruin. I almost ruined a scene for you, so I won't ruin it. So.
Oh, she told me about 3 or 4 scenes. So
did she tell you the KKK scene?
Yes.
Okay, so that's just wonderful. I laughed my ass off at that one, but it's pretty good. So there's bright spots.
But the weird thing too is that she doesn't like Orange is the New Black. She likes this show.
Well, I don't know, man. It wasn't terrible, but when I saw these like overwhelmingly positive reviews, I was like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, they're biased.
Yeah, it's a little.
I'll check it out. I'll check out a couple of episodes.
Check it out, and then we'll talk about it on the next podcast that we have.
Meantime, I'm gonna watch Rocco's Modern Life. So
there you go. Watch a little Rocco's Modern Life. All right, we will talk to you guys 2 weeks from tonight with the Battleground pay-per-view on July the 23rd. So enjoy the break. Of course, you can follow Douglas on the Twitters via @DougWrestleview. I am @AdamWrestleview. Follow @Wrestleview for everything Wrestleview related. I've just said Wrestleview so many times that I just made my brain shut down. It's a lot. I'll obviously subscribe to us here on YouTube. Look up Wrestleview or Wrestleview Radio, and you can get the podcast version of this show on iTunes and SoundCloud. Just search Wrestleview Media. So, yeah, you're taking notes, Doug. I like that. Wrestleview Media. Okay, right there. Okay, all right.
I'm trying to be Mr. Subliminal. Is what
I like it. Good stuff.
Tacos.
All right. Any closing thoughts? Or are you gonna go watch Rocco's Modern Life and you're done with this?
I'm gonna have me a cigarette. I'm gonna watch me an episode of Rocco's Modern Life, and then I can't wait for Zombie Brawn tomorrow night.
That's gonna be fun. That'll be good stuff. All right, everybody. We will talk to you 2 weeks from tonight, July the 23rd for Battleground. See you later. Bye. Thanks, Doug.